I don't care if they were fighting for our freedom. I don't care if they were fighting for the flag. I don't give a shit. They lived up to their oath. And yesterday, they spit on it.
Now at 11, outrage outside of Capitol Hill today after a legislative bill aimed at helping provide health care resources to veterans exposed to toxic burn pits and other toxins, it was voted down. Senators overwhelmingly agreed on the Pact Act earlier this summer by voting 84-14 to pass it. Now, those lawmakers voted again late yesterday afternoon, and the results 55-42, falling short of the 60 needed to end a filibuster. Just outside of the steps of the Capitol, comedian and activist Jon Stewart. He was there, joined by New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who stood with representatives from numerous veterans groups to speak about this vote. 41 Republicans, including Florida Senator Rick Scott, voted against it, along with Senator Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York, who's the Senate Majority Leader.
June 16th, they passed the bill. 84-14 is a whitewash in this Senate. It was bipartisan, and it's the exact bill that they shot down. There was a small technical fix, one sentence. So all these folks.
Now, because of that one fix, it had to go back for a vote, and it was that fix, it appears, that lawmakers are at odds over. During his outrage, Jon Stewart called out Senator Scott, who on the day of that vote spent time volunteering with the USO. And we reached out to Senator Scott for a statement. His office sending us the following statement. Senator Rick Scott was proud to support the passage of this important bill in the Senate previously and will support its final passage soon. Unfortunately, Democrats caused an unnecessary delay of this important bill's passage by inserting a budget gimmick in the text that warranted further discussion. Senator Scott is working with his colleagues to ensure this is resolved quickly so that we can provide our nation's veterans with the care that they need. Senator Scott voted in support of the bill back in June.
Senator Rick Scott yesterday tweeted out from the USO, "So honored to be here to honor the service and sacrifice of the men and women who fight for this country." And then not an hour later, walked down on the floor of the Senate and stabbed them in the back. How is this? How are these people human?
Now, we also reached out to Senator Marco Rubio. He voted in support of the Pact Act yesterday. He said it has already taken far too long, but we're going to get this passed. I'm not going to give up on our veterans. And both Georgia Senators, Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff, voted in support of the Pact Act. They also voted in support of it back in June. And the Pact Act also includes the Camp Lejeune Justice Act. Jacksonville resident Michelle James is the widow of a Marine veteran. She has been advocating, pushing for this piece of legislation to be passed. Her late husband, who was exposed to toxic water at Camp Lejeune, and that's who she's fighting for, him and all of the other victims as well as the survivors and their families. She was watching the vote closely when this Pact Act was voted down.
It's like they just stuck the knife in at the end, and it was gut-wrenching. It really, really was. I mean, the whole community is gutted. We know it's not the end, but it's just that you're playing around with people's lives.
Now, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he will schedule another vote on the Pact Act on Monday. You can count on First Coast News to keep you updated. And to see my investigative report on toxic water at Camp Lejeune and what's being done to help victims, click on this story on firstcoastnews.com or the First Coast News app.